Have you ever had the unfortunate occasion to browse right-wing social media? You may notice a lot of right-wingers like to complain about liberals and leftists calling them Nazis. And it might be a good idea to dig into that a little bit. Now, we can certainly understand why they don't want to be called Nazis. They are a death cult beyond just using the power of government to control people's lives. They have the bloodlust, the innate desire to bully and humiliate and murder people, people who are in the 30s and 40s in Germany, lesser class people, and have them destroyed and mock them while doing it. It's beyond evil. It doesn't really matter how many people the Nazis killed compared to Soviet Union or Communist China. All bad. Of course, any authoritarian regime killing millions of people is bad. But the Nazis used the power to eliminate anyone they deemed lesser. They are bad. And we're having a lot of right-wingers trying to deflect, desensitize the evils of Nazi Germany. First of all, you have some actual neo-Nazis complaining that they can't be called Nazis because they are not, in fact, members of the National Socialist Workers' Party in Germany in the 20s, 30s, or 40s. As if that's the only thing. Today, we're not concerned about the actual Nazis. And if there are any alive, they're probably nearly 100 years old, at least. Of course, neo-Nazis have been a problem in the United States and most of the West. Been a noticeable problem since really the end of World War II. They're a small problem. People who go out of their way to wave the Nazi flag or openly admit to being Nazis. But this is not a new phenomenon. They are around, and they are a danger. Just look at Waco or Buffalo or McAllen. People very comfortably sharing Nazi rhetoric, killing dozens of people. Now, again, you have right-wingers online who say, well, I'm not specifically doing these things. I'm not specific. The Trump administration is not currently operating death camps that are killing millions of Jews and other undesirables. But the concern about people who call Trumpists Nazis, and maybe some of them exaggerate or drop the quote-unquote N-bomb too quickly, but the concern is that the people who have the power to create a government that could start exterminating perceived political enemies of Trump, by the time they actually start doing that, it'll be too late to protest. Kind of what the paradox of tolerance is all about. If we avoid comparing quasi-fascist regimes like what Putin is doing in Russia and what Trump wants to do in the US, then by the time they've enacted their plans, we have no rights left to try to, resist them. So ultimately, right-wingers, that's the leg they're standing on, is that they're not actively promoting death camps yet, but are just deflecting and trying to think of ways how they're not actually 100% consistent with the Nazis in the 1930s and 40s. But when someone on our side, even if they're being a little bit hyperbolic, they're calling someone a Nazi not because they are currently doing Nazi things, is that because they want or are enabling people, or the Trump administration specifically, to get the power to do those things soon. And they are amassing power in the government. Trump is definitely trying to use the power of the government to punish political enemies, or at least enrich people that openly support him or support his goals. The government is losing many checks and balances to prevent the executive branch from having enough power where it can start openly attacking and arresting and killing citizens based on their race or creed or sexual identification, gender identification, or just having political opinions that Trump doesn't like. We want to avoid that. I'm happy to call Trump a fascist. Is he a Nazi? Maybe not yet, but Elon did break out a Nazi salute. Steve Bannon just did it a few days ago. So if the shoe fits, if it quacks like a duck, more to come.